So nice to see everybody. Go ahead and sit. Cross your shins, one in front of the other. Flex your feet. There's some lift of the leg. Place your hands on your thighs, press down, lift your spine up. Drop your shoulders away from your neck. When you press down again, think about lift happening at the center point, so there's a broadness, not by squeezing the arms back a whole lot. Little pulling back, and then lift the chest bones higher like you're trying to pull your collarbones wider. And then let your eyes close. Keeping the shoulders down and wide, trying to lift the center and widen from the center body out. No great pontifications or words of wisdom today, just a gentle reminder. That is, the world starts to shift again. As vaccines become more common, things begin to open up. The normal that we got used to over the years changing. And even though some of us and many of us wanted to push for a new normal, many good things might have occurred to you or you might have had time for in this new hobby, moving a little slower, different kind of conversation. Remember, normal just doesn't mean where you're constantly on the go. You're the one that sets normal for you. You're the one that creates your rhythms and your patterns about how you move through life. It's just a reminder that every day is things want to go back to the way it was before. You don't have to make that your normal. You can make tomorrow whatever you want it to be from the experiences you've had every day before. Let your practice remind you of that all of your experience on the mat and the times before help you create something that'll be the new normal for your body, for this class, and after. Let that be true in all things of your life, to empower you, to uplift you. And let you choose how your journey goes and what your normal will be. Bring the palms together at the chest, thumbs touching the sternum. Blow them shortly 3 times and begin. Take a nice breath. Oh. Oh. All right, head. Let's loop the essence of yoga inside yourself. Bring your hands into your lap, let your head rise and your eyes open. All right. So let's go ahead and stay seated. Stretch both legs wide into seated straddle stretch, Pasada Padottanasana. When you take your legs wide into seated straddle, you can use the long side of your mat to kind of tell if your legs are spread evenly, lining up one heel on that line with the other. Triss isn't doing this because of where the camera is and where the dogs are, and it's fine. But you still get the idea. Try to use some awareness in that, because your normal habit of how you throw one leg out faster than the other might move one leg away from the hip farther than the other. Pull your toes back, flex your feet for a moment, feel the length on the back side of the leg, the calf. Try to keep the stretch on that leg. Point your foot, but pull your toes back still. Tristan's doing the Barbie foot, right? The foot's pointed, toes are reflexed back. Flex the thighs. Take both hands onto you next to your hips and just lift your spine for a moment. See what it takes to lift and extend the groin, the back, and the sides, and be aware of where your body weight is. Is it coming forward? Can you move it back so you're lifting centered? You're not lifting by pushing forward, but you're trying to lift the lower back as well. Foot still pointed, toes still flexed, thighs flexed, even though the knee may not press totally into the floor. Still flex your thighs a little bit. Try and keep the muscle of the upper leg attaching to the bone. Suction it to the bone firmer. Lift both arms straight up. Try to keep the lift of your spine, palms facing in. Take your left hand down to the outside of the right thigh. Twist by first pulling with your left arm, bending the left elbow to twist to your right, and then stretch the right arm back behind you, stretching the arm out away from you. You got a wall behind you like Tris does, you can put your hand on it to help twist a little. But try to find evenness of the shoulders. If you look at Tris or your own shoulders right now, her left shoulder is lower than her right shoulder. When you stretch the right arm back, it shouldn't be at the cost of the shoulder coming up. Drop the right shoulder down and lengthen it out. So you're lengthening you're trying to widen again that collarbone from the upper inner shoulder blade coming down. So the upper inner right shoulder blade pulls down your back as you stretch it out. Work your legs equally, even though your upper torso is not equal, as in it's not symmetrically aligned. But what does it take for each leg to stay in its active position? Does the left leg have to work harder because you're twisting from the right? In a way, yes, the inner thighs of the left leg have to work harder or the left leg slides after you. The right thigh has to press down harder. Right thigh has to press down harder to be the lift point of the pose. The more you push the right thigh down, the more you try to lift up that front body. Take both arms back up. Twist to your left, taking the right hand to the outer thigh. Twist first using the arm, then stretch that left arm out behind you, reaching, not the shoulder up, the shoulder out. Head moving back and turning to look at the extended arm. Try to not pull your chin down into your shoulder and your shoulder up to your chin. You're not looking coyly over your left shoulder. But the neck is long, the arm is extended, and there's space between that shoulder and neck. If there is no space, you're shrugging your upper body forward to do the twist. You're collapsing down on the front body. Lift up on the front body, twist. It's about extension of the spine rather than how intense the turn is going to be. Both arms up and twist towards center. Still very active legs. Keep your arms lifted, keep your legs strong. Tilt your body forward about 2 or 3 inches. So you're leaning forward slightly. Take your left hand to your outer right thigh. Bend the left elbow, stretching your elbow towards the floor so it's pulling you down, and rotate, stretching your right arm straight up for the sky. Work those left legs. The left inner thigh has to push against the bone. Lots of seated twists to start. to open up the low back and the groin for our continued work in Ekapada Kakutanasana, Ekapada Rajapachasana, which you should get to today. The different way I'm going to teach you to work it, and ultimately Hanunamasana. Bring the body up, stretch both arms straight up. Still in seated straddle, still working each leg. Notice how your legs almost relax when your arms get up in the air, and then you have to reflex them. That's your body slouching into the groin weight to do so. Rotate your body to the left, keeping the thighs flexed. Take the right hand to the outer thigh. Twist by bending the elbow and then still leaning forward. And pull the elbow down towards the floor like you were going to touch that elbow to the floor between your thighs. And stretch that left arm actively up. That side does not like twisting. That's right. Body back to center and up. Thighs flexed. Lean forward again, stretching the legs actively by suctioning the thigh muscles to the bone. Extend your upper torso out as best you can while keeping your arms out. I know, Shuba, it's exhausting. Just bring your upper body forward as far as you can go. If you can go 1 inch off the floor, great, go for it. But just create any forward motion where you can keep your arms in line with your ears and keep your legs active. So you're putting asking your body to only range forward as much as it takes to put flexion on those inner groin thigh muscles. It's very tiring to hold this. All right, bring your body up. Bring your arms down. Bend your right knee by grabbing the inner right knee with your right hand and pick the knee up. Pull the right heel towards the inner groin on the right side, pointing the foot. So what I mean by when you bring your heel to the groin, don't let the right heel to the left side. Pull that right heel into that right side groin so that knee has to open out wide, deeply. Good. Left arm reaches for your left big toe. Right hand just rests on your right thigh for a moment. Flex your right thigh, push your right knee out to the right more. So you're not straightening the leg out, but you're flexing the thigh like you're going to stretch from the top of your hip down to the knee joint out. Flex your left thigh, push your foot against your hand. Lean your upper body back slightly and just try to twist here. Take your right hand to the lower abdominals, just below the navel. Push back slightly and pull up with your right hand to help engage the ability of your body to flex backwards. Oh, it's done. Makes you lean back further down. Stretch it really more. When you push your hand back slightly enough that you feel your abdominal have to flex and then pull up on the flesh of the abdomen, it's an interesting, like, almost safety feeling of your body leaning back into space. So got to flex your left leg, right leg, still create all that work. If you want more, bend your left elbow and take your left elbow towards your left shin. But you still got to keep the abdomen back and lifted. And if you want more than that, you move your left elbow to the inside of the shin and stretch it for the floor. Still holding the big toe. Still pulling on that big toe with all the strength you got. I promise it probably will not come out of the socket. I won't say it will not for sure, but I promise it probably will not. It's not designed for that. Take your head, kind of find center with your chest for a moment, and then lean your head back like you're stretching the upper spine, and then turn to look up. Because when you move the head back, lengthening the upper spine and then twist it, you really see how tight the upper back is. That makes some things hard. Bring your body up. Stretch your right leg out back into the straddle. Then take your left hand, grab your left inner knee. Pull the knee up to help release the groin, and pull your left heel towards the left groin. Right hand can then grab your right big toe. Point that right foot. It is still actively pushing the foot away from the rest of the leg. So you engage that calf, that muscles around your shin to extend. Lean the upper body back, and you notice how much your core center body here of the upper torso goes back, but your head kind of stays down here. When you lean the whole upper body back, that means the neck too. That means the neck too means all at once. Don't move one part and then the other. Even if you have to lean forward to stretch your spine long to feel your neck release and then lean it all back, do so. Because we'll find that I found in my practice that over the years of pushing my upper torso back and then remembering my neck has really created a lot of poor habit of working and letting my neck hang into this forward action. And then it's much harder when all that muscle's already set to re-extend that spine. Even if you have to slouch your whole body forward to lengthen the neck and then move it all back. The spine is one big piece, your neck a part of it. Left hand goes onto the abdominal just below the belly button. Push into your gut a little bit and then pull up on the flesh of your stomach. Lean back. Remember when you lean back, lean the head back too. Somewhere in there, you should probably breathe. If you pass out on camera, I do just call an ambulance. The more stretch you want, the more you take this lifted, leaned back action laterally. You bend that right elbow to start dragging you down. And then if your right elbow is resting on your knee and it's still not very hard, you always slide the right elbow to the inside of the knee and stretch it for the floor. Now notice how your head's come forward to kind of look at it all and feel it, which is good. It's always good to take a look at your body. We've had practice of that in class before. But try to turn your head to neutral on your chest. Lean it back and then twist the neck. Your head won't pop off. It shouldn't pop off. If it pops off, please call an ambulance. I don't know how you call it with your head popped off, but figure it out. Right. Taking that hip, that back. Which side? Bring the body up. Stretch your left leg back out into the straddle. Place both hands on the floor or bolsters next to your hip. Lift your spine up tall. Stretch both arms straight up. Palms facing in. Take your right hand down to your outer left thigh again. Bend the right elbow to twist to your left, stretching the left arm out and away from you, reaching the head neck. Turn your head to the left, look down the length of the arm. And if your left shoulder is trying to come up and meet your chin, you got to pull that shoulder down your back harder. So you're not asking your neck to compact and only work on one side. You're asking that shoulder to come down as you stretch it out. So you really have to ask both sides of the neck to lengthen. Those tight muscles that go up into your jaw and such. Bend your right elbow by pulling on the right leg and lean forward in the twist. So it's like you're going to try and take your right elbow to the floor between your legs. Then notice how much your head untwisted when you did that. That the left arm must resist away from you. As your right arm tries to drag you down, your left arm tries to pick you up. So your chest lifts in the upper back, and then rotate the head any degree more. Take a breath or two. Bring the body up. Both arms up. Lift the body. Find some length. Find some relief in the lifted action. Take your left hand to right thigh. Bend the elbow to twist. Stretching the right arm out after the rotation. Turn your head to look down the length of the right arm as you stretch the arm away from you to try and drag the right shoulder down the back. Bend your left elbow, leaning your upper body forward into the forward twist, and notice how your upper body's come down. The head's come down with it. Stretch that right arm out and harder, like there's something you're reaching for with your right hand. If you only give it that last little bit of inch of power, so your chest lifts, because it takes a lift of the front body to create that extension, and then turn the head to look down that right arm again. Challenge those muscles on that left side of your neck to stretch around to the jaw. Untwist. Take your right hand and grab your inner right knee. Pull your right heel to your inner right groin. Take your right hand, reach for your left big toe. You cannot grab your left big toe. You can use a strap, but I want your left arm straight, regardless of your mobility. The right hand grabs the foot, I apologize. Left hand goes on the floor just next to your left calf. So you're rotating the torso, so the center of the chest, center of the abdomen is more along the line of the inner thigh. You do not twist your upper body past the thigh bone. Going past the thigh bone will do nothing but overextend one side. Now it's the action of, can you lengthen your upper torso down the thigh while your right thigh, so flex your right thigh, think about the thigh bone stretching away from your back. If you stretched your right thigh away from you, it would pull the right side of your hip and your lower back longer. Think about that action. The right thigh is trying to move away from you to lengthen the lower back on the right side. Look up. Take a belly breath. Lift the navel up slightly. Lift your sternum. If someone came in front of you and hooked their fingers under your rib cage and dragged your rib on the front, the left hand pushing down helps you keep that chest lifted to do that. Then bend your right elbow slightly out to the side, and imagine if someone grabbed a hold of your back ribs with their hands and dragged those forward towards your foot to drag you down into the fold by the bend of the right elbow. So your arms are fighting you in a sense. Your left arm is trying to stay active, pushing into the floor to help you lift your chest up. Your left arm. Your right elbow is bending to try and drag you down. So there's a widening action of the upper back. You're widening the right side of the back and lengthening. Flex your left thigh, suck the muscle to the bone. Keep that length on the front. Left hand also grabs the foot. Bend both elbows wide. Let your upper body extend forward and down towards the shin any degree. If your forehead lays on the shin bone, great. If it doesn't, if you're like up at a high angle because stuff's tight, great. Work more the action of the pelvis, the left thigh extending, the right thigh flexing, pushing towards the knee so that groin is opening. That's what is the widening action. And then the upper back, the front body's lengthened, the upper back is widening, and you let your tight muscle get worked on. You hold into that space. So feel what's stretching for you, and take a few breaths, and then see if you can, without flexing any harder, not just relax the stretching point to move, but can you relax the neck to move a little bit so you can lengthen the skull out like you're trying to lengthen the whole back. Again, like say, if I grabbed a hold of the back of your neck, just gently dragged forward. Remember, the neck is a part of the spine. You want the upper back to release, your neck must be long. Exhale, bring the body up. Switch your legs, right leg out, left leg in. Once your right leg's out, left hand grabs for right foot. Right hand goes on the outside of the right calf, falling flat on the floor. This variation, this work in Janu, really good for the groin, really good for the back, really good for the hip. This is actually probably one of my favorite poses because it does so much work for the back muscle, so much for the groin, so much for the whole spine, really. It's a good forward fold to start giving a lot of relief, especially if you're tight in the hips, you're suffering compression of the spine, neck pain. Right arm is straight, left elbow bends slightly. Take a belly breath, pull the abdomen back. Someone hooks their fingers under your ribs and pulls up. Then take a breath, exhale, bend your left elbow, feel it flex. And imagine if someone hooked their fingers into your back ribs and pulled forward towards the foot. All the while that left thigh flexing and pushing that knee away from you. Not down, but back towards the world behind you. When I was taught this pose, we did it against a wall, our left thigh against a wall, and we just had to learn to push into the wall the whole time. Try to take both hands and grab. Bend both elbows wide, widen the upper back. Exhale, extend the head, extend the neck. Don't pull the shoulders up towards the neck to extend you. Lift the head out and away from the body to create some extension. Take a breath, exhale, up you come. All right. Grab a bolster. You're going to sit on your bolster blocks. You can sit on whatever, just to add some height to your head. Sit with your shins crossed, left shin in front of right. We're going to go here for a minute. That'll be fun. So sit with your shins crossed left in front of right. We're going to go into Ekapada for a moment. Now, we've all done pigeon pose lots of times. And what I'm going to offer today is a different way of thinking about how to get into the pose. Some of you have been in classes where I've taught to lean to one side and just kind of move the leg across. And we're going to do that, but how strong the leg is actually going to help free up the inner groin. So Tristan is going to stretch her left leg out in front of her. Everyone join her. Lean to your right, laying your right hand on the floor. From here, with your left thigh straight, flex your left thigh, rotate the thigh internally as deep as you can, like you were trying to point your left toes to the right. So the foot's going from up to over. Keep that thigh very flexed, very internally rotated. Lift it up off the floor, keep it up off the floor, and swing it the whole time, rotating your whole body to come over your right leg. And you only let that left thigh flex or touch the floor if you can when your upper body sets into position. There's an action of rotational movement that happens in the sacral plate and hip when you keep that thigh flexed and you learn to rotate the whole upper torso and the leg simultaneously. The internal rotation of the thigh allows the hip to catch the movement and you to extend the upper body and back leg time. Feels good, doesn't it? What this does is it puts a lot of the correct pressure on your right hip. It helps take some of it out of the left groin. So now the pose becomes a much more broad-based action of the pelvis. Keep that left thigh strong and flexed every time you take it back behind you. Swing the left leg out. When you come out, do the same thing. Flex the thigh, lift it, lean onto your right hip, swing the whole leg around. Swing the left leg back to pigeon pose this time. We're just doing it a couple times back and forth. I want you to get used to this elongated action where that whole leg stays flexed and extended while your upper body extends. Just even this movement, swinging your groin like this, releases a lot of the pelvic hip. Starts to, as one of my teachers would say, lubricate the hip. Last time, swing the left leg forward, back to the seated cross. Tristan's doing it in the hard way because she's going over a dog. I don't know what. So if you think it's hard, she's got to go another 6 inches up. Lean to your right, straight left leg, rotate the thigh internally. Keep it internally rotated, swing it back. Keep that internal rotation, twist it in, lower the hip down. Much easier. So you got that long back leg, you got that bent knee on the front. So Ekapada Rajapakasana. Fingertips on the floor, lift your chest up as high as you can. Lift the spine up as high as you can. So think about the length of your spine from your sacral plate all the way up to the crown of the head. Don't push back to lift it. Don't just lean forward and lift it. Lift both the front and the back. It's not just about your chest rising and puffing, but can you go right to those muscles between the shoulder blades and not pinch them, but lift with them? Right up here, right between those shoulder blades. Can you ask those muscles to lift the neck? So it almost creates a slight backward bend. It'll feel like a backward bend because it goes against the normal action of those muscles, which is to flex to catch our neck when it holds forward. Now we're asking it to lift our neck up. Bend your back knee as best you can. When you bent your back knee, if your hips are tight, your hips probably came up towards your low back a little. Stretch your left leg down to the floor. Keep your head, neck, chest lifted. Can you flex and lift the glutes? Come forward towards the front side of your pelvis. So your glute muscle is trying to widen and push the groin down. When you bend your back knee this time, feel and be aware of how much the glute wants to climb up into your lower back, and can you keep that moving down into the leg? Bend the left knee. Keep moving your body weight down into that left thigh. That left thigh is what extends back. Your body weight just doesn't always drop and tilt your pelvis over the right front leg, but it should be going into the back leg. One of the versions of Ekapada Raja, is the back leg is straight and you're still holding the foot. And that doesn't mean the leg's in the air. The back leg is straight laying on the floor. You're in a very deep extended backward bend. And we're not doing that right now, but we will one day. Keep the back knee bent. Take your right hand back behind you and try to grab the foot. It's back there, I promise. Your foot did not run off. Right hand has the foot. Hold the foot. Push your foot against your hand like you're trying to lay your shin bone on the floor again. If you can lay your shin bone on the floor again while still holding your foot, great. But don't just let your body weight drag your leg forward. Make your leg drag back. So if you were holding your foot and I grabbed your foot, hold you down towards the floor. Take your right hand back onto the floor. Take your left hand and grab your foot. Remember to breathe. It will help you stop from sweating. So now flex your thighs, not to push your upper body forward over the front leg, but can you flex your thighs and your glutes and put your body weight in towards the left thigh again? Because it's about spreading the groin, spreading the quad and the other parts of that back leg. It's not, the front leg gets a lot of the stretch, sure, because our hips are tight. But there's an immense amount of this pose that's in the front leg that we need to work with. You got it, Chuba. Now push that foot against that hand as if it was going to drag you down to the floor. Take your left hand back to the floor. Both hands on the floor in front of you. Flex your left thigh. Rotate internally. Lean to your right. Swing the left leg back around to the seated cross-legged position. Change your leg position so the right shin is now in front of the left. Lean to your left. Stretch your right leg out in front of you. We'll do it 3 times, getting into the pose just to get that hip lubricated. Leaning to your left on your left hand, rotate your right thigh internally, pick the leg up, sweep it back. Don't let the leg drop, don't let it bend until you're fully in position. After you get there, lift your spine and neck for a moment. Feel this pose. Feel the first time getting into it. Then exhale, lean to your left, swing the right leg out, back to the seated cross. Lift the spine, flex the thighs, stretch your right leg out, rotate the thigh in, pick it up, sweep it around. There you go, much better. Straight leg, straight leg. Then I want you to try and keep that knee straight as you sweep it around. The reason for this is it makes the thigh do the spread. It makes the hinge of the hip. It changes a lot of the groin pressure on it. It puts it in the front of the leg. Lift the spine up. Last time coming out, at least for the practice, swing the leg back forward. Try to keep the leg straight the whole time. Lift the spine, active legs. Stretch the right leg straight, rotate it in. Lift it, swing it. Better, much better you feel now. That action can do a lot to give you a lot better twisting of the pelvis and the groin. And the pelvis should twist, right? Even though in a lot of seated poses, we're trying to keep the pelvis more or less stable and rotate. There's a lot of leg work that asks us to twist the hip and to move it and to swing it. And that's important mobility. Spine nice and lifted. So your back leg's still flexed and extended. Push the left shin down. Feel how your pelvis weight wants to kind of come forward towards the foot and the front of the bolster. Can you extend your back leg and make it the base of the pose where you want to move your body weight to? The center of your body weight, or the body weight should not be moving forward and towards the front leg, but should be moving towards the back right thigh center. So that takes that back leg being very active and extending, and your spine lifting from the base to the neck, so your upper torso does not become something that is dragged back by a rounded pressure, but shifts back because of the widening of the pelvis. The upper body weight shifts to that spot that's more active, which makes the groin cranky and all that other stuff. Try to bend your back knee and notice where your body weight goes. You shorten the muscles on that back leg, all of your body weight wants to shift back to the front. The front leg's active, it's pushing down, not for you to come forward on it harder, but so you lift away from it. Take the right hand back, grab the foot. Push the foot against the hand. Right. I know. Keep trying to elongate that back leg. The more that you try to unbend that knee while your hand resists it, it has so much more of that back leg extension. Your chest is still trying to look. Good use of a block under your front hand. Try to, anything to help lift. And even when you lift, even if you're using a block on your front arm to help push you up, lift your neck like your neck is a part of the whole spine. Go ahead and switch hands. Neck. A few more seconds. That left hand still grabbing that foot, that left leg trying to stretch, or that back leg trying to straighten towards the floor as best it can. Yeah. That's really good. Both hands on the floor. Swing your right leg out of the pose. Turn around. Switch so your left shin is in front of your right. Left shin in front of right. Stretch the left leg straight. Don't worry, we're going to stay in Ekapada. Stretch your left leg straight in front of you. Now, with your left leg straight in front of you, take your right foot and plant it flat to the floor like that. Okay. Now, lean to your right, place your right hand on the floor. Pick your left leg up, rotate it internally, swing it back behind you into Ekapada Kapotanasana. It's way harder. Over the gorge. Right, now put your foot back on the floor. It's a deep lunge of that front leg. Your hips will not be on that bolster, most likely. Just not likely to happen. But what we will do is turn your back toes under, lift your left knee up off the floor for a moment, lift your hips slightly. Slide something under your back knee. Lift your knee. Now drop your thumb. So now Tristan has a thing under her back left knee. It's a bolster to add some height to it. Both hands on the floor in front of you, right knee bent, back leg on that prop. Kapottanasana is a deep lunging of the hip. The right hip tries to come down towards the floor, lengthening the left leg. So slide your left leg back in a degree, not by unbending your right knee. If you feel your right leg straight, you're not stretching your left leg, you're stretching your right groin. The right hip moves forward towards the right foot. So lean in towards that leg so it bends deeper, but at the same time, the left thigh stretches back. So it's two parts pulling apart. Flex your right buttock, suck your right glute forward towards the right calf. Place both hands on your right knee. Lift your chest up. Now you can kind of see, regardless of where your pose is, how you more or less, most of us will have tried, like, unless we practice this action a lot, we don't get the full hinge of the hip down. So lift the chest, lift the neck, lift your spine. Now bring your hands back to the floor. Keep your left leg where it is. Walk your right foot back towards your bolster a couple inches, just an inch or two. Now lunge into it. Put your hands on your knee. Pick your chest back up. There. Flex the right glute. Try to bring the hips forward and down. If I put my foot on your sacral plate and push forward and down, that would be the action. And whatever what's the resistance of the hips opening in that action? If I said do this with your legs straight, you'd probably be lower than with that front knee bent. There's an overactive thing in yoga where we've been taught to keep the knee above the heel so much because of overdoing warrior one, warrior two, things like that. There is a whole muscle set that learns to move by pushing that knee past your toes. Take both hands onto the floor, and for a moment, push your right knee past your toes and teach it to move. Get comfortable with that. It is okay. It will not hurt you, I promise. But that right knee must go past the toes eventually because it stretches the calf, the Achilles tendon, it elongates the muscle connection of the calf to the knee. Try to keep that knee past your toes, put both hands on your knee again, lift your chest up. But try to encourage that forward action. It is hard to lift the chest up, so you must use the glutes and the core body. And for most of us, we just unbend right out of it. It's hard. It's a lot of work for the knee. Take your hands back onto the floor. Walk your right foot back all the way to the bolster. Walk your right foot to the left side like you were going to do Ekapada. Stretch your left leg back into Ekapada for a moment. All right, swing the left leg out back to the seated position. Switch your legs so the right leg is in front of the left. You will have to turn. Stretch your right leg straight. Bend your left knee, put your left foot flat onto the floor. Lean to your left, placing your left hand on the floor. Rotate your right thigh in, swing the leg back. Try to go to Kapottanasana from the same leg swinging position. Once you're back, push your bolster back or your bolster block under that back thigh just above the knee. Lean forward, lunge forward so your back thigh is on that bolster and your front knee starts to bend past the toes, your left knee. Place both hands on your left knee, pick your chest up any degree. Try to keep that descent of the hips. Take your hands back to the floor, walk your left foot back towards the bolster a little bit. Then lunge your knee forward, extend that groin and pelvis. Remember, imagine someone put their foot on your sacral plate and was just gently pushing it forward and down. Keep that lunged action. Place both hands on the knee, lift the chest up. Hands down. Walk your left foot back to the right so your leg goes back into the Ekapada position. Stretch your right leg back into full Ekapada Raja. And then swing your back leg forward, around and forward, back to seated. Take a bolster or block, lay it across your mat, as Tristan's bolster is right now. Sit a couple inches away from it and lay back so your low back is on the bolster and your upper body just lays over it. Your low back, if you're using a block, put your butt on the floor. The butt stays on the floor. If you're using a block, the block goes just below your shoulder blades. If you're using a bolster, the block will go a little closer to your lower back. So you're just laying over something to lift and extend the chest. Stretch your arms overhead, lengthen them out, and just lay there for a few moments and breathe. If your shoulders don't touch the floor, fine, that's not a problem. If you need some support under your head because your block's too high or your bolster, your neck's really tight, you have neck injury, that's okay. But if you can lay your head to the floor, just lay your head to the floor. If you have a block, it goes just in the middle of the back, right, just a hair below the shoulder blades. And breathe, and just lay there. Take this deep extension and just breathe into the lungs. Feel that stretch and extension when you take that breath. Lengthen through the arms and the legs on each side. Feel the length and then just let it relax for a moment. So you can rest at extension. Taking a few moments here just as you're back, you take a few more breaths into this pose. And when you breathe, feel the abdomen expand. And when you exhale, let it release. Try to let your breath move to the lower part of the abdomen, towards the pelvis. So it's almost like you're breathing into the space between the bowl of the pelvis. And try to let that relax with each exhale. All that space you've widened, you stretched, you moved, you flexed. Let your breath be in that area as a massage to learn to let it decompress too. The restorative poses are not just about resting in a fun position, resting in a different way, but it asks different muscles of your body to have pressure or gravity or passive rotation or passive extension that can be very renewing that you can't get from normal flexion. Take times after working areas that are challenging for you to breathe into them. Do not create a relationship with your body that is one of you versus parts of it. I can promise you it's going to be with you your whole life. And it may be a struggle, maybe a challenge, but don't make it a fight. Give yourself a chance to feel and breathe into those areas, connect with them in a way that's not just the asana. Bend your knees, roll to your side. Move your blocker bolster off of your mat, lay on your back for a moment. Take just a minute of savasana. Now neutral body, neutral spine. The deep breath in, the slow breath out. Just here in savasana. Feel the whole body. Feel anything else going on, mental, emotional, physical. Remember, take in what you need from this work so that you can create a new normal for you tomorrow. Whether it's one of discipline or strength or joy or relaxation, whatever it is. That's your power. You can create the new normal as you need. And rest and enjoy the fruits of your yogic practice. That's a front turn. Increase the depths of your breathing. Again, to awaken the body, opening, closing the hands, pointing, flexing the feet. Roll to your right. On an exhale, press your palms into the floor and slowly up you come. Till we meet again. Namaste.